Ladies and gentlemen, we live in an age of connection unlike any other in human history. Technology allows us to meet someone across the globe with the swipe of a finger. Yet paradoxically, many of us feel more isolated than ever. Modern relationships, especially romantic and sexual ones, are under unprecedented pressure, and many are falling apart. But why? One of the core reasons lies in our understanding, or rather, misunderstanding of intimacy and sexual health. Sexual health is not just the absence of disease. It is a vital component of our overall emotional, mental, and relational well-being. Yet, in our fast-paced world, it is often neglected, misunderstood, or treated superficially in modern relationships. One of the most significant reasons couples struggle to maintain intimacy is the neglect of true emotional and sexual connection. Many people enter relationships with limited understanding of their own needs and desires, and even less understanding of their partners. Conversations about sexual health, desires, boundaries, and past experiences are often avoided because of fear, embarrassment, or cultural stigma. Yet, these conversations are essential for creating trust and a strong foundation for intimacy. Without them, misunderstandings and unmet expectations accumulate quietly, slowly eroding the sense of closeness between partners. Sexual health is often mistakenly reduced to physical well-being or the act of sex itself, when in reality, it encompasses emotional, mental, and relational aspects as well. Emotional intimacy and sexual satisfaction are deeply intertwined. When one is neglected, the other suffers. For example, unresolved trauma, past negative experiences, or anxiety about performance can manifest in sexual relationships as distance, frustration, or avoidance. If these issues are not addressed openly, couples may misinterpret each other's reactions, leading to further alienation and resentment. Another factor is the fast pace of modern life, which often prioritizes external success, social obligations, or personal pleasure over the slow, intentional cultivation of intimacy. Partners may assume that desire and connection will naturally persist without conscious effort, but sexual and emotional health require regular attention, empathy, and communication. Many relationships fail to thrive simply because partners do not invest time in understanding each other's evolving needs, both in and out of the bedroom. The inability to discuss sexual needs openly is compounded by societal stigma surrounding sex and vulnerability. Many people grow up with shame or embarrassment attached to their desires, making it difficult to articulate what they want or need in a healthy relationship. Silence, avoidance, or passive communication becomes the norm, creating a subtle but persistent emotional gap between partners. Over time, this gap can transform into dissatisfaction, frustration, and ultimately, disconnection. True intimacy requires courage, the courage to speak honestly, to ask for what one needs, and to listen without judgment. When couples embrace this level of openness, sexual health becomes a shared responsibility rather than a private concern. It fosters empathy, strengthens trust, and allows both partners to feel seen, heard, and valued. Neglecting this dimension of a relationship, on the other hand, sets the stage for misunderstandings, emotional distance, and a weakening of the very bond that drew two people together in the first place. Technology and social media have dramatically reshaped the landscape of modern relationships, often in ways that undermine genuine intimacy. While these tools promise connection, they also introduce new challenges that were unimaginable just a few decades ago. Dating apps, instant messaging, and curated social media profiles have created a culture in which attraction is increasingly superficial, based on appearances and first impressions, rather than deeper emotional or sexual compatibility. Swiping, liking, and scrolling can make it feel like potential partners are endless and easily replaceable, which encourages impatience and a lack of commitment. This environment fosters short-term thinking, where desire and validation are sought instantly, while the slow, often messy work of building a lasting bond is overlooked. Social media amplifies comparison, another subtle but powerful force that erodes relationships. People are constantly exposed to idealized versions of other couples' lives, carefully edited images and stories that project perfection. These portrayals can lead to unrealistic expectations about intimacy, sexual performance, and relational satisfaction. Partners may begin to judge their own relationships against these curated images, feeling inadequate or dissatisfied even when their connection is healthy. This cycle of comparison can create tension and resentment, as the focus shifts from nurturing the real bond in front of them to chasing an unattainable standard. Moreover, technology encourages a kind of emotional and sexual disconnection that is often disguised as convenience. Conversations that once required face-to-face attention can now happen through short messages, emojis, or voice notes, leaving nuance, tone, and depth behind. Sexual expression can also become detached from intimacy through the proliferation of online pornography and hookup culture, which can distort expectations and reduce the perceived need for emotional engagement. Partners may find themselves craving physical gratification without investing in the emotional labor that sustains a fulfilling sexual relationship, creating an imbalance that eventually weakens the connection. At the same time, the constant availability of alternatives can make commitment feel less secure. When every swipe, message, or notification represents a potential better option, people may become hesitant to invest fully in a relationship, fearing they might be missing out on something else. This fear undermines trust, encourages insecurity, and discourages honest discussions about sexual and emotional needs. Ultimately, while technology offers unprecedented access and opportunity, it also challenges couples to maintain focus, depth, and presence, without deliberate effort to foster genuine connection and prioritize mutual understanding. Technology can amplify the very tendencies superficiality, comparison, impatience that contribute to modern relationships falling apart. Modern relationships are under constant pressure from societal expectations and cultural myths, which can significantly undermine intimacy and sexual health. From a young age, people are exposed to idealized narratives about love and romance stories in which love is effortless. Desire is constant, and relationships naturally bring happiness and fulfillment. These myths create unrealistic expectations, encouraging individuals to measure their own experiences against impossible standards. When reality inevitably falls short, disappointment, frustration, and self-doubt arise, eroding the emotional and sexual connection between partners. Cultural obsession with physical appearance and youth further complicates intimacy. Media and advertising continually reinforce the idea that attractiveness determines desirability, and that sexual satisfaction is tied to external beauty. Partners may feel pressured to maintain certain appearances, or to perform in ways that align with these ideals, rather than focusing on authentic connection. Over time, this focus on surface-level attributes can reduce sexual intimacy to a performance or checklist, rather than a shared, pleasurable experience rooted in trust and emotional presence. Additionally, modern society promotes individualism and personal fulfillment, often at the expense of compromise and collaboration. While striving for self-actualization is valuable, an overemphasis on personal goals can make it difficult for couples to navigate the sacrifices and adjustments required in healthy partnerships. Desire and sexual satisfaction thrive in environments of mutual care and attention. But when individuals prioritize their own convenience, validation, or pleasure, the balance needed for sustaining intimacy is disrupted. Partners may unconsciously compete rather than cooperate, creating tension and emotional distance. Societal stigma around sexual health and open communication also reinforces these challenges. many people are reluctant to speak candidly about their desires, fantasies, or insecurities because of fear of judgment or shame. This silence leaves emotional needs unmet and fosters misunderstandings. Instead of viewing sexual health as an essential aspect of relational well-being, cultural pressures often frame it as taboo or secondary. As a result, couples may experience growing dissatisfaction without understanding the root cause, compounding feelings of inadequacy or resentment. In essence, the cultural environment surrounding modern relationships creates a perfect storm. Unrealistic expectations, external pressures, and fear of vulnerability combine to make sexual and emotional intimacy more difficult. Without conscious effort to resist these influences and prioritize authentic connection, relationships can become transactional, performative, and ultimately fragile. Recognizing and addressing these societal pressures is essential for couples who wish to cultivate sustainable intimacy, trust, and mutual satisfaction in their partnerships. The solution to the challenges facing modern relationships lies in intentional effort, rooted in communication, education, and vulnerability. Unlike the superficial or transactional connections often encouraged by technology and societal pressures, sustaining intimacy requires a conscious commitment to understanding both oneself and one's partner. Open communication is the cornerstone of this effort. Couples who regularly share their desires, boundaries, fears, and expectations create a foundation of trust that allows sexual and emotional intimacy to flourish. Honest dialogue reduces misunderstandings, clarifies needs, and fosters a sense of partnership where both individuals feel heard and valued. Equally important is sexual and emotional education, not just in the academic sense, but in practical, relational terms. Understanding human sexuality, consent, and the emotional dimensions of desire equips partners to navigate intimacy with greater confidence and empathy. Education also includes learning to recognize and address personal and shared challenges, such as past trauma, anxiety, or mismatched libido. When couples are equipped with knowledge, they are more capable of making informed choices that support mutual satisfaction and relational health. Ignorance, on the other hand, can lead to frustration, resentment, and emotional distance. As unmet needs silently accumulate, vulnerability is another critical component of sustaining intimacy. Many people avoid showing their true selves or admitting insecurities for fear of rejection. Yet, vulnerability is precisely what allows partners to connect on a deeper level. Sharing fears, fantasies, and uncertainties invites mutual understanding and creates emotional safety, which strengthens both sexual and emotional bonds. When vulnerability is met with empathy, rather than judgment, it reinforces trust and encourages ongoing openness, forming a positive cycle that nurtures the relationship. Prioritizing quality over quantity is also essential. In an era of distraction and constant stimulation, partners must actively choose to invest time and attention in each other. Simple practices, such as uninterrupted conversations, shared experiences, and deliberate physical affection, enforce connection and remind both individuals of the importance of their bond. Presence and intentionality cultivate intimacy in ways that superficial gestures or fleeting encounters never can. Ultimately, modern relationships can thrive when couples treat sexual health and emotional well-being as interconnected, shared responsibilities. Through communication, education, vulnerability, and mindful investment, partners can resist the cultural and technological pressures that often pull relationships apart. By actively fostering understanding, trust, and empathy, couples build a resilient intimacy that endures beyond fleeting attraction or societal expectation, creating a relationship that is both deeply fulfilling and sustainable in the end. The fragility of modern relationships is not inevitable. It is a reflection of the choices we make and the effort we invest in connection. By embracing open communication, prioritizing sexual and emotional health, resisting societal pressures, and cultivating vulnerability, we can transform fleeting desire into lasting intimacy. Relationships that thrive are not built on convenience or superficial attraction. They are nurtured through understanding, empathy, and the courage to face both our own needs and those of our partner. If we commit to this deeper awareness, we can rebuild the foundation of love in the modern world, creating connections that are not only passionate and fulfilling but resilient enough to endure the complexities of our time.